be me, Rachel, 36, VP of Operations at Vertex Solutions, one of Seattle's fastest-growing clean energy consulting firms. I just landed us the biggest contract in company history, a $14 million solar grid infrastructure project with Al Rahman Energy in Dubai. $14 million. I was about to make history, lead an all-female team on an international stage, prove that women could dominate in tech consulting. Spoiler, I made history all right. Just not the kind I wanted. It was a Thursday morning, late September. I stood at the front of our main conference room with 80+ employees staring back at me. My PowerPoint glowed behind me. Project Atlas, Dubai Solar Initiative. Eric, our CEO, sat front row, nodding along like a proud dad. I'd rehearsed this presentation maybe 30 times. I had my talking points memorized, my confident smile locked in. As you all know, I said, clicking to the next slide, Vertex has been selected as the primary consultant for Al Rahman Energy's new solar grid project in Dubai. This is our largest international contract to date, and I'm honored to announce the leadership team. Click. The org chart appeared, my name at the top. Below it, Priya, Jen, Casey, Lauren. All women. The room went quiet in that way rooms do when people are trying to figure out if they should react. I've selected an all-female project leadership team, I continued, voice steady. This is about more than just this one project. It's about demonstrating Vertex's commitment to equity, to making space for voices that have been historically excluded from... A hand went up. Daniel Chen, our lead systems architect, 41. Quiet, competent in that annoying way where he never had to prove himself because his work spoke for itself. 8 years with the company. Designed most of our proprietary software. Rachel, he said, and I could already hear the mansplaining coming. This is our first Gulf region contract. None of the selected team has Middle East client experience, and the technical specs require someone certified in large-scale grid architecture with... I cut him off with my most professional smile. Daniel, I appreciate your concern, but this is exactly the kind of thinking we're trying to move past. We're perfectly capable of handling complex projects. Women don't need prior experience in every specific niche to be qualified. Another hand. Marcus, senior engineer, 45. Black guy who'd been with us for 12 years. He looked uncomfortable. Look, Marcus said carefully, I'm all for diversity. But I've worked with Emirati clients before on the Saudi project back in 2019. The cultural component really matters here. And the technical side of this, the load distribution calculations alone require... Marcus, I interrupted, sharper than I meant to. Are you suggesting women can't handle cultural sensitivity? That's pretty ironic, don't you think? A few nervous laughs rippled through the room. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he sat back down. I felt a flicker of guilt. Marcus was one of the good ones, not some fragile white dude, but I couldn't back down now. Not in front of everyone. I clicked to my final slide. Project Atlas. Female leadership only. The bullet points were clear. All on-site leadership positions filled by women, all client-facing roles led by women, male engineers could support remotely in auxiliary capacities. Daniel and Marcus exchanged a look. Daniel started to raise his hand again. Eric stood up. I think this is a bold move, he announced, and I'm proud to support Rachel's vision here. Vertex has always been committed to progressive values, and this project is a perfect demonstration of that commitment. Let's give the team our full confidence. Applause. Not enthusiastic, but enough. Meeting adjourned. I felt victorious, like I'd just planted a flag on a mountain. Daniel caught me in the hallway afterward. He wasn't angry. That wasn't Daniel's style. Just concerned in that infuriatingly calm way of his. Rachel, he said, pulling me aside near the break room. I pulled the full contract specs last night. The load calculations alone require software I built custom tools for over 4 years. Proprietary algorithms. And the client specifically requested someone with Gulf infrastructure experience in our original proposal. This isn't about gender, it's about making sure we can actually... Daniel, I said, keeping my voice level, I need you to trust that I know what I'm doing. You've had your turn leading these projects, now it's ours. He paused, studying my face, then nodded slowly. Okay, but when you need the grid modeling tools or the regional expertise, just call. I'll help. No ego, no, I told you so. I just want the project to succeed. We'll be fine, I said. I walked back to my office. The "Nevertheless, she persisted" poster on my wall caught my eye. I'd hung it up the day I got promoted to VP. 18 months ago, after our previous VP retired, and Eric told me the board wanted to see more women in leadership. I'd networked hard at that Women in Tech conference in San Francisco, made the right connections with female board members. Smart enough to do the job, they said. Fresh perspective. My phone buzzed. Text from Priya, one of the junior engineers I'd selected. Are you sure about this? I've never done anything this big. I typed back, you've got this. Believe in yourself. Part of me knew Daniel had a point about the technical stuff. The proprietary software thing. The Gulf region experience. But I'd figure it out. Women had been told we weren't technical enough, weren't experienced enough, weren't ready for decades. I wasn't about to prove them right by backing down now. I opened my laptop and booked 5 business class tickets to Dubai. 2 weeks, $14 million. History in the making. The Emirates flight to Dubai was 13 hours of trying not to think about Daniel's warnings. I sat in business class, company had splurged for optics, reviewing my presentation notes for the 50th time. Across the aisle, Priya, 28, junior engineer, talented but only 3 years out of grad school. Jen, 33, mid-level engineer, competent but quiet. Casey, 29, HR rep I'd insisted on bringing for support and documentation. And Lauren, 31, marketing coordinator I'd added for client communications. A powerhouse team. That's what I kept telling myself. Priya leaned across the aisle, somewhere over the Atlantic. Did you get a chance to review the technical appendix the client sent last week? There's some Arabic annotations on the grid schematics I couldn't make sense of. I hadn't looked at it. I'd meant to, but there'd been so many other things. The travel logistics, the hotel arrangements, preparing the presentation deck. I'm sure it's just administrative notes, I said. We'll have translators in the meetings. Priya nodded, but didn't look convinced. Jen, sitting behind us, spoke up quietly. My husband asked if Daniel or Marcus were coming. When I said no, he seemed concerned. I turned around, sharper than I intended. Your husband's an accountant, Jen. This is engineering. Awkward silence. Jen went back to her laptop. I told myself they were just nervous. First big international project. Once we were on the ground, once we were in front of the clients, they'd see I was right. We landed in Dubai at 11 p.m. local time. The Burj Al Arab Hotel was exactly as ridiculous as the photos. That sail-shaped tower lit up against the night sky. Our rooms were suites, actual suites, with gold fixtures and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Persian Gulf. I posted an Instagram story, leading incredible women into the future, Dubai project, women in STEM, immediate likes from my network back home, comments rolling in, Yas Queen. This is so inspiring, breaking barriers. That evening, we gathered in my suite to prep for tomorrow's kickoff meeting. I pulled up the client presentation on the massive TV. Casey sat with her laptop open, taking notes on nothing. Lauren suggested maybe softening some of the technical language to make it more accessible. Accessible to who? Jen asked. They're engineers. I just mean, broader appeal. Lauren, I interrupted, the presentation is fine. Priya pulled up the technical specs on her tablet. Rachel, the client's technical team is definitely going to ask about load distribution algorithms, the ones Daniel built the custom software for. Do we have access to that? We have the standard industry tools, I said. We'll be fine. But the proposal specifically mentioned Vertex's proprietary modeling software. Priya. I set down my wine glass. We're not going to panic before we even get in the room. Tomorrow is about establishing the relationship. We don't need to solve every technical problem in the first meeting. Jen, carefully. The contract specs mentioned they want to discuss Gulf-specific heat variance protocols. That's not something I've worked with. That's more Daniel's specialty with the Saudi Arabia experience. I felt my jaw tighten. Ladies, we are qualified engineers. We are here representing one of the best consulting firms in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to walk in there tomorrow with confidence, establish the relationship, and take things one step at a time. They exchanged glances but nodded. I told myself they were psyching themselves out. First project jitters. I'd handled dozens of client meetings. This was going to be fine. The next morning, we arrived at Al Rahman Energy headquarters, a glass tower in the financial district that made our Seattle office look like a garage startup. We were escorted to a massive conference room on the 20th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking construction sites and desert. Then the client team walked in. 6 Emirati executives in traditional dress, 3 younger engineers in business casual, a project coordinator with an iPad, all male. I felt the energy shift behind me, my team suddenly aware we were the only women in the room. The lead executive, Mr. Al-Zarani, was maybe 60, formal, with perfect English and the kind of presence that comes from 30 years of closing deals. "Welcome to Dubai," he said, shaking my hand. "Firm grip, professional. We're very eager to begin. I understand you're the technical lead on this project?" "Yes," I said, smiling confidently. "I'm heading the project. This is my team." He nodded politely, then turned to the group. "Before we proceed with the broader discussion, we need to verify the load calculations from your proposal. Our engineering team found some discrepancies in the heat variance modeling for zones 3 and 5. Can you walk us through your methodology?" Silence. I looked at Priya. She looked at Jen. Jen stared at her closed laptop. "Our senior modeling team completed those calculations," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I can have them send over the detailed breakdown." One of the younger Emirati engineers, maybe 30, spoke up in accented English. "The proposal indicates you use proprietary Vertex modeling software. We need someone who understands the underlying algorithms to verify compatibility with our existing grid infrastructure." More silence. Mr. Al-Zarani's expression shifted. Not angry, just disappointed. The look you give someone when you realize they're not what you expected. "Ms. Rachel," he said carefully, "the proposal your company submitted included a senior systems architect with Gulf region experience. We were expecting to meet this person today. The technical specifications for this project are quite specialized." My throat felt tight. "Our team is fully qualified to handle..." "Perhaps," Mr. Al-Zarani said, standing. "We should reschedule this discussion when your technical team is available. We'll give you 3 days to provide the verification documentation our engineers requested. This is a $14 million contract. We need assurance you can deliver what was promised." The meeting ended after 20 minutes. It was supposed to be 2 hours. Back in my hotel suite, the team sat in silence. Casey was typing furiously on her laptop, documentation for God knows what. Lauren stared out the window. Priya and Jen looked at each other. "We need Daniel," Priya said quietly. I felt something snap. "We don't need Daniel. We need to review the files and get access to the software and..." "Rachel." Jen's voice was firmer than I'd ever heard it. "None of us know how to verify those algorithms. That's literally why Daniel built the custom software. It's proprietary. We can't just reverse engineer 4 years of his work in 3 days." Casey looked up from her laptop. "I just got an email from Eric. The client called him directly. He wants a status call in an hour." I opened my laptop, stared at Daniel's contact in my email. My finger hovered over the keyboard. Not yet. I could figure this out. I had to. Day 5 in Dubai. We'd spent 72 hours trying to reverse engineer Daniel's load calculations using standard software. The verification document we'd produced was basically educated guesswork, dressed up in technical language and formatted to look professional. That morning, we drove out to the actual construction site, 40 minutes into the desert, where hundreds of solar panel arrays were being installed across terrain that looked like Mars. Workers everywhere, Pakistani, Filipino, Emirati supervisors. The scale of it hit me then. This wasn't some theoretical project. This was real infrastructure that needed to actually work. The site foreman, Ahmed, was 45, Pakistani, with 15 years of solar installation experience written in the sun damage on his face. He met us at the site office with a tablet full of data. "We need the corrected power distribution maps by tomorrow," he said, not impolitely, just stating facts. "The terrain heat variance is significantly different from your original calculations. We can't proceed with grid connections until this is resolved." "How do you know the calculations are wrong?" I asked. He pulled up thermal imaging data on his tablet. "Because we've been measuring, your calculations assume standard desert conditions. But this specific area has underground water tables that affect ground temperature distribution. The panels will overheat in zones 3 and 5 unless the load is redistributed. This is basic Gulf region solar engineering." Jen was looking at the data over his shoulder. "This is exactly what they asked about in the meeting." Ahmed nodded. "Yes. Did your architect not account for subsurface hydrology?" He said it so casually. Like this was solar panels 101. Daniel would have known this. Marcus would have known this. I'd removed the 2 people who would have caught this immediately. Back at the hotel, I set up a video call with Seattle. Got connected to Jake, a junior dev who worked under Daniel. 26, eager, talented enough, but still learning. "Jake," I said, trying to sound calm, "I need you to access Daniel's grid modeling software and run new calculations with these parameters." I shared my screen showing Ahmed's thermal data. Jake looked uncomfortable. I don't have access to Daniel's proprietary tools. Those require his authentication. And honestly, even if I could open them, I don't know how to use them. Daniel built that system over like 4 years. It's incredibly complex. Can't you just figure it out?" "Ms. Rachel?" Jake scratched his head. "That software has thousands of custom algorithms. I'd need weeks of training just to understand the interface. Why not just ask Daniel?" I ended the call without answering. That afternoon, email from Mr. Al-Zarani. "Ms. Rachel, we have reviewed your verification document. Unfortunately, it does not adequately address our thermal variance concerns. Our engineering team cannot approve grid connection without proper modeling data that accounts for subsurface conditions. We are approaching deadline for Phase 1 installation. Please provide certified calculations within 72 hours or we will need to discuss contract scope modifications. Respectfully, Mr. Al-Zarani." Priya read it aloud in my suite. Jen said, "Contract modifications means they're reducing the scope. We'll lose millions." Casey: "Should I document this for the equity report?" I nearly threw my phone at her. My phone rang. Eric. "I just got off a call with Al-Zarani," he said, voice cold in a way I'd never heard from him. He asked me, and I quote, "Where are the real engineers?" "Rachel, what the hell is happening over there? The team is working on solutions. I don't want excuses. I want solutions. We're about to lose the biggest contract in company history because you wanted to make a political statement. Fix this. 72 hours. He hung up. That night, the team sat in my suite. The energy was dead. Even Casey had stopped typing. Priya spoke carefully. "Rachel, we need to call Daniel. We can hire an outside consultant. Someone local who knows." "In 72 hours? Jen shook her head. "Who's going to understand Vertex's proprietary software and the client's specific requirements and have Gulf region expertise? Lauren, who'd been useless this entire trip, actually spoke up. Maybe we could spin this as a learning opportunity, like women navigating unexpected challenges in... Everyone stared at her. Priya, firmer now. Rachel, we're going to lose this contract, and it's going to be on us. On you. Call Daniel. She was right. I knew she was right. But calling Daniel meant admitting I'd been wrong. Admitting I'd screwed up the biggest opportunity of my career because I was more concerned with making a statement than making sure we could actually do the job. I sat at the desk, stared at my laptop. Daniel's email contact right there. It was 2 a.m. in Seattle. I clicked video call. It rang. And rang. Please don't answer. Please don't answer. Let me leave a message and preserve some dignity. Daniel's face appeared on screen. Hair messy. Clearly just woke up. Behind him, his home office with the bookshelf full of engineering textbooks. Rachel, he said. No judgment in his voice. Just tired. It's 2 a.m. here. I know. I'm sorry. We have a situation with the Dubai project, and I need a quick consultation. The thermal variance calculations. Silence. How did you... Ahmed emailed me 4 days ago, Daniel said. Asked if I knew why your team's calculations didn't account for subsurface hydrology. I told him I wasn't on the project anymore. Of course. Of course the site foreman went directly to the person who actually knew what they were doing. Daniel, I need your help, I said. We have 72 hours to provide corrected modeling data, or the client's reducing the contract scope. Daniel paused for a long moment. Rachel, when I tried to tell you about this exact issue before you left, you told me to trust that you knew what you were doing. I was wrong, okay? I was wrong. We need you. Do you need me, or do you need what I can do? What's the difference? The difference, Daniel said, is whether you're calling because you realize you made a mistake removing qualified people from this project, or whether you're just calling because you need a quick fix so you can keep pretending your female-only policy was a good idea. I wanted to hang up. I wanted to scream at him, but I couldn't. I made a mistake, I said quietly. Say it clearly. I should have listened to you. I should have had you and Marcus on this team from the beginning. I prioritized optics over competence, and now we're about to lose $14 million. I was wrong. Daniel nodded slowly. Okay. Send me the thermal data and current grid specs. I'll run the calculations. Daniel worked through the night. Priya, Jen and I stayed on the video call as he walked us through corrections. His proprietary software, the one we couldn't access, running complex algorithms in real time. By 9 a.m. Dubai time, he'd produced a complete corrected model. Emailed it directly to me and CC'd Ahmed. That should satisfy their requirements, Daniel said. I'm going to sleep. Thank you, I said. Rachel, you're welcome. But you need to know, the client already requested I fly out for Phase 2, or they're reducing the contract to Phase 1 only. The video call ended. We presented Daniel's calculations to Al-Zarani that afternoon. His engineers reviewed it, nodding, conferring in Arabic. This is excellent work, Al-Zarani said. Who completed this? Our senior systems architect, Daniel Chen. For Phase 2, we need Mr. Chen on site. Otherwise, we'll complete Phase 1 only. Email from Eric arrived as we left. Daniel is now senior technical lead on Dubai project. He flies out next week with Marcus. You'll complete Phase 1 handoff and return to Seattle. We need to talk. 2 weeks later, I sat in my new office, smaller, different floor, away from engineering. VP of Culture and Internal Initiatives. Eric's words echoed. You're good at certain things. Project leadership isn't one of them. I heard voices in the hallway. Daniel, Marcus, Priya discussing Phase 2 prep. Thanks for including me, Priya said. I'm learning a ton. You're good, Daniel replied. You just needed someone to actually teach you. They walked past. Priya waved awkwardly. Daniel nodded. Marcus didn't look at me. That was the worst part, not the demotion. but knowing Priya was getting real mentorship from someone who cared about developing her skills instead of using her for political points. I opened my laptop. Company Slack showed Eric's message. Congrats to Daniel, Marcus, Priya on successful Phase 1 completion. Phase 2 kicks off Monday. I started typing about challenges women face in male-dominated fields. Got 3 paragraphs in. Deleted it all. Who was I kidding? The only person who resisted my leadership was reality. I closed the laptop and stared out at the Seattle skyline.